results of our latest Café California Latino LA e-poll. When we asked, is spanking an effective way to discipline a child, 55 of those polled said yes, and 45% said no. Let's go to it, guys. Now, you were telling a story, Veronica, that your dad was more strict with you.
Oh, very, very strict.
And how much younger was your sister?
My sister is 8 years younger than I am, and she never got spanked. And I asked him, I said, you know, she's real smart with you, and if I ever thought about saying the things that she says to you, you would have whacked me up and down this house. And he says, well, I was younger and I was more high-strung, and you are our first child, and we really wanted you to be perfect.
Now, Judge, you said that you got 4 kids.
I have 4
It's always different with the first kid. You think
Sure.
parents are a lot more aggressive with the first kid?
Well, I think
because they're amateurs.
Right. You don't know what you're doing when you're raising children. You're not trained to do it, and you don't want to make any mistakes, particularly with the first one. I was a lot more strict in limit setting and disciplining the first one than I am with the younger. And the oldest child will comment about my daughter, who is the youngest, and about the fact that she's not as being raised in as strict a fashion as he was.
My sisters had a curfew. There's sort of the same thing. The 3 older girls born in Mexico. I'm born in Mexico, but I come here as a baby, and then my little sister and I. And my parents, I think they were tired. You know, they were like, they're tired.
They don't have the energy anymore.
Think so, too.
Now, you've only got 1 daughter.
Yeah.
And she's 13.
She's 13. She has perfect attendance at school. She has perfect grades.
Does she fear you, do you think, in a healthy way?
I think she respects me. She actually idolizes me. To her, I'm her hero, because when she writes her papers, I'm always the hero. She never picks Superman. She doesn't, and I don't force her to think that way. I want her to be independent, but at the same time, I want her to recognize her parents as we're the boss.
Chris, you mentioned fear and respect in the same sentence, and I think they're 2 totally different things. You said, does she fear you? I mean, does she respect you? And see, that's in our culture, we see that a lot. You know, fear is respect, and that's 2 totally different things.
That's very old world.
Yes, and I think that a child, I have a daughter who's 19 months, and sometimes she'll go to hit me when she doesn't like something. My first reaction, of course, is to smack her back, but of course I don't do that, because I think, what am I teaching her? That I'm bigger and I'm going to hit her harder? So I'll just hold her hand and I'll tell her, no, that's not right. You know, I don't want to have her fear me as a parent. She's supposed to feel safe with me. I'm her parent. The world is fearful enough. I shouldn't have her fear me.
But what do we do? I mean, you've all seen them, the women at the store that are, honey, don't, and the kids going crazy, baby, no, don't. You're like, someone grab that kid and put them in the stroller, because the child, they're trying to negotiate.
Well, that's what you do. You don't hit him. You pick him up and you put him in the stroller.
Right.
So that's, you don't think that, and well, we were talking, what is officially spanking versus child abuse, Judge?
Well, I'm not sure I'm prepared to give
Here,
a legal,
demonstrate.
a legal definition.
I've been a bad boy. No, there is a legal thing, right?
I would say that the line gets crossed clearly when there are physical injuries to a child, or an object has been used to discipline the child, like a belt or a spoon or a board or a cord. The real dangerous thing about this topic from the legal perspective is setting clear boundaries for parents, because some people start out with the best intentions and get way out of control because they're disciplining in anger, and if physical discipline is their discipline of first resort, sometimes it gets way out of hand.
Now,
and that's, from a legal perspective, what
Mario,
I think
you
people
told me
need to be
there's a
concerned
way
about.
to spank, that you put them over your knee.
I took a child psychology class before my
This show to spank your child.
and I found out there is a way to
Try to
spank.
inform the public. You know, we do our best.
Because
Yeah,
I
we want to
found,
hear this.
I did find out that, for instance, people that have spanked their children, that could hurt their lower back, you know, the back. Because when, as you come down, you know, you're lifting them from the bottom up. Or,
and that's bad.
And that is bad for the back.
And bad for the back.
So if you just put the child on your knee, you're having back support, so you just give them 1 or 2 whacks, but it's not hard, just enough to get their attention. Sort of like when you try to get your dog's attention, you don't beat them up, you just kind of like hit them with the newspaper.
You compare it to a dog. Oh my gosh.
I know, that's scary.
But my question to you is, what are your reasons for spanking? Like, why have you spanked her before? Like, what did she do? What caused you
for instance,
to do that?
if she ever does anything bad at school, or if she uses a profanity, especially directed towards her parents or anybody in her family, which she doesn't do, because from day one that I laid down the law, I said, look.
Have you had to spank her a lot?
No, not at all. Because she doesn't, I don't feel that she fears me, but she respects me because she understands that I am father, I am king, and that California and federal law does not apply in my house. It's Mario's law.
That's dangerous.
It's
I'm sorry.
Mario's world.
That's
Why
dangerous
is it dangerous?
because, Mario, I mean, with all due respect to you, doesn't mean you're always right. We are human and we are going to make mistakes. So you saying you're the law necessarily tells us that whatever I say goes, and at times you could be wrong. So my question to you is, statistics have shown and research have shown that spanking a child makes them antisocial at many times when they grow up in violent behavior. There's no research showing that spanking has any positive effect. Nothing at all. No research at all. They haven't been able to find anything. What do you say about that?
Well, I just look at how my daughter is raised in the sense that what is the results, for instance. She's a straight A student. Regardless of how sick she is, she goes to school, and I do not want her to go to school sick, and yet she loves school so much. Very social kid. She loves dancing. I encourage her to go dancing. She goes to concerts, and that's okay because I know that she's a good person. She doesn't drink, no drugs. And I mean, she's a perfect child.
And my comment is just everyone here has said that at one time their parent has gotten physical with them, and I'm not antisocial. You know?
But either am I, but I had a lot of issues I had to deal with because of my father's behavior. Usually issues don't develop till you're like 21 years old or 22 when you're an adult. And I had issues of fear, of issues that I needed to deal with because of my upbringing.
You're saying yes, Veronica?
Definitely. I hold a lot of things against my dad.
Really?
Yeah, I have issues that I love him so much, but I'm so upset with him for some of the things that he's done to me.
But isn't that where
But
the
I
fine
feared
line
him.
of
I
abuse
really
and
did.
disciplining comes in?
No, but he
because
didn't
my
abuse
daughter
me.
doesn't feel that way, and I don't feel like that with my parents. And I was always a very social person.
But I couldn't voice my opinion. I remember one time I had a conversation with him about a tattoo. I thought that tattoos were cool. I was maybe 14 years old, and we had a conversation about tattoos, and he got so upset with me that he wanted to like throw me out of the 13th floor window. I mean, he wasn't going to physically do it, but he was so upset. Not that I was voicing my opinion, but that he felt that I was doing so to anger him.
But basically put the fear in God into you so you wouldn't think about it twice of doing it, right?
No, not even. And I mean, and to this day, I do have a tattoo. I went out and did it anyway because I wasn't going to let him.
You must show us during the break.
I'm like, I wasn't going to let him change my mind about things.
Now, what do you?
I think it's right.
What can you give a profile of the relationship between parents and kids? Is there such a thing as healthy physical discipline? I mean, because he sees.
He won't.
He won't. You see real problem families coming in.
Right. I'm not sure I'm the right person to go to for a healthy example of the use of corporal punishment, because the people I tend to see in my job have crossed the line. They've excessively disciplined a child, they've caused injuries, and so now they're in court either having their child removed from the home or being punished. So I'm not sure I'm the right person.
You never get the parents that are coming in that are going, oh, well, you know, he's been such a good boy, and I think it's the teachers that are wrong, the school is wrong, and you're wrong. I mean, don't you have some parents where you're going, wait, you want to hit the parent?
Sure.
You know, I'm not for spanking kids, but sometimes in the store you want to tell that lady,
right, but
take care of it.
That's not necessarily a call for physical discipline. That's a call for limit setting. And the problem with a lot of kids today is they haven't had
anger issues.
They haven't had they haven't had limits set for them.
Set boundaries.
And
you need to set
the
boundaries.
first time somebody sets a limit for them, it's me, and I'm sending them to jail or I'm putting them in probation camp because somebody has finally said, you know, this behavior is unacceptable in our society. And for many kids, it's their first brush with discipline. Our limit setting.
Do you think most of it is parents that have been uninvolved with their children?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think this conversation is a good example of exactly how unclear it is what the best way to raise a child is. I don't think parents know exactly what to do in every situation and with every child, and every child's different.
My mom always says, you didn't come with instructions.
Right, exactly.
They don't have an owner's manual like cars do.
She says it all the time.
Right.
You didn't come with instructions. We're trying different things here.
Right.
What I remember is that in Mexico there was so much extended family that the girls and that we were exposed to children, and you saw how people dealt with it. I find in our society there's a lot of amateurs, kids that have never babysat or had younger brothers or whatever. They no saben en qué se está metiendo, ¿verdad? Usted se está metiendo en Café California. We're going to go to a commercial. We'll be back. And you see them and you're like, you didn't know that babies cry for like 6 months and that they're up all night?